turn your head on more of a slant. Now, make a fist. Slowly ease it up underneath your chin. This is looking really good.
We've got the Fed very likely looking to cut rates for the first time since early pandemic days. What does that mean for this point in the campaign? Because it's a funky place.
Yeah.
You've got potentially a good sign that Kamala Harris can talk about, kind of quote unquote late stage change, but you still have Donald Trump killing her when it comes to the economy. In that flash, in that snap poll after the debate, he was up 20 points on the economy, even though the vast majority said she won the debate.
Yeah, but don't forget, Romney versus Obama. People thought that Romney was better on the economy than Biden, than Obama, but people believed that Obama was going to fight for them harder. And so it's not just there are two things that are going on here. People might think, yeah, he might be better on the economy, but he's going to help the billionaires. He's not going to help me. So there's another set of numbers here that I think we're looking at, that she's doing a little bit better than she is on the bigger number.
And listen, the economy is objectively Donald Trump's strongest issue, but it comes down to, can he actually focus on that? Aides have put him up to give speeches focused on it, and he ends up diverting into all different directions. Hannibal Lecter, now we're on to eating animals. So can he keep selling that message, or is she going to start to eat into the support he has on this issue?
Look, every candidate has their strong points and their weak points. Economy weaker for her, abortion weaker for him. They're now in a tug of war over immigration. He's having to talk about dogs and cats to try to figure out some way to change the subject from the fact that he actually got in the way of a solution on immigration.
In interviews with undecided voters, many of whom the Times has interviewed regularly over the last several months, they acknowledged that Ms. Harris seemed more presidential than Mr. Trump. And they said she laid out a sweeping vision to fix some of the country's most stubborn problems. But they also said she did not seem much different from Mr. Biden, and they wanted change. And most of all, what they wanted to hear and didn't was the fine print. Voters said they were glad she has a tax and economic plan, but they want to know how it will become law when Washington is so polarized. They know she wants to give assistance to first-time home buyers, but doubted that it was realistic. And Jeremy, I ask you, is their answer Donald Trump? Because I guess I see the questions. I think there was only so much that she could do in that debate in order to be as effective as she was. And I agree. There are a lot more questions. Of course, I would love to ask Kamala Harris about her leadership style and her plans and how she plans to execute. But are those undecided voters saying, I'm going to kind of lean Trump here because I want change? I don't get it.
No, I don't think that a lot of them are saying they're leaning Trump. Some of them certainly would, but I think the bigger risk for her is that they're just going to stay home, that they're not motivated, inspired enough by her. Because remember, people don't really know her. You know, as we've quoted many voters saying, and many Democratic strategists saying, she's famous as vice president. Of course, she has very high name recognition, but she's largely unknown as a candidate and a politician. I mean, she was elected to the United States Senate in 2018. She's hardly, been on the national stage for a long time. And she has had, let's not forget, a really truncated campaign period to introduce herself to voters. That's what the next 8 weeks are all about. And something, Mika, you point out is very correct. You can't do in 2-minute answers in a debate. So there's not going to be another debate, it looks like. In a way, I think that's almost good for her campaign because they can continue to introduce her to the voters who still need convincing on their own terms.
In the wake of the presidential debate, Donald Trump, of course, is recognized to have lost against Kamala Harris. However, the damage is completely mitigated as people recognize he is still the better candidate on the big issues like the economy and the border. Now, what we just saw there from Van Jones first is that, remember that Mitt Romney was actually seen as better on the economy, but Obama, people liked him more because he fought for them. And of course, he ended up winning re-election. However, remember, Obama was not faced with this horrible economy like the Biden-Harris campaign is, right? He didn't have this massive inflation. Now, Obama's economy was by no means stellar, but it was not as bad off as the current one. Now, of course, Mika Brzezinski makes the point that, oh, people just don't know Kamala Harris. But the problem is they can't get to know her because she doesn't give interviews, right? She actually gave her first one since the debate, and we'll get to that in a second, but it was basically just a nightmare, okay? So as we're seeing, post-debate, the numbers are really looking good for Donald Trump. However, in light of some recent bombshell news, we can see the debate was actually in cahoots, essentially, with the Kamala Harris campaign, right? In a recent interview through the LA Times, it was revealed that in an era in which misinformation spreads fast and furious, Davis's real-time fact check cut through the proceedings like a sharp blade, the LA Times wrote. This, of course, is in response to Donald Trump's claim that, oh, we have abortions after birth. And Davis actually fact-checked Trump in real time by saying there are no states that, of course, allow abortion after birth, which is a complete falsehood. Now, the LA Times also continues to write, Davis, wearing pink glasses while speaking to the Times over breakfast at the Ritz-Carlton in Philadelphia, said the decision to attempt to correct the candidates was in response to the June 27th CNN debate between Trump and President Biden, whose poor performance led to his exit from the race. The outlet added that in the weeks leading up to the debate, everyone involved at ABC played out various scenarios in a table read-like session to ensure their ability to fact-check in real time to avoid a redo of Trump's debate against Biden. So as we know, Donald Trump destroyed Biden because Biden was completely mentally and physically inept. He wasn't able to handle that type of a scenario. So in order not to repeat that happening to Kamala Harris, they decided to sit down and say, you know what? We are going to fact check Donald Trump in real time, and we're going to practice it, right? Here's some of his most likely answers, and we want to have good responses for what he's going to say. All so we can make it look like Kamala Harris is going to win the debate, okay? And of course, she actually turned out looking really well, and Donald Trump didn't do as well as I would have liked. However, that doesn't quite matter because we have over here from the Daily Mail, a new poll shows that Donald Trump is leading Kamala Harris in a key battleground state. So all of this, of course, is backfiring spectacularly. A new poll of the crucial swing state of Michigan shows warning signs for Kamala Harris as she looks to secure the so-called Democratic blue wall. The InsiderAdvantage poll shows Donald Trump leading by 1 point in the state. It has the GOP nominee at 49% and Harris at 48%. So even though Harris is widely recognized to have done really well at the debate, it hasn't moved the needle. All right. And as a matter of fact, Donald Trump is now maintaining his lead or gaining ground in these key battleground states. It is truly wonderful to behold. But of course, all of this is unknown to Bill Maher.
Did you see the debate Tuesday night? Wow. Now, I'm just going by what CNN had 25 independents who hadn't made their mind before the debate. She won 23-2. So that's pretty. I haven't seen a woman beat an opponent that bad since that Olympic boxer with these suspicious high levels of testosterone. Wow. It was pretty bad for him. But halfway through it, he had a look on his face like, boy, where's the sniper when you need one? Oh, we kid. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, she made Trump look so much like a bitch that a Haitian migrant tried to eat him. Well, that's...
So Bill Maher, of course, having written this monologue way in advance, apparently isn't privy to the new information coming out. That yes, Donald Trump is actually doing very well, and independents are not breaking for Kamala Harris in droves like people thought they would, right? Everyone's basically holding to their party lines, and the voters are being swayed by their pocketbook at this point, as opposed to Kamala Harris's good feelings vibes that she's got going on over at her camp. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Kamala Harris actually did sit down for a very puff piece interview with a local ABC affiliate. Let's check this out. However, I am going to speed up her responses because she talks slow and she rambles on, but here we go.
When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, if a lot of people will relate to this. I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn, and I was raised to believe and to know that all people deserve dignity, and that we as Americans have a beautiful character. We have ambitions and aspirations and dreams, but not everyone necessarily has access to the resources that can help them fuel those dreams and ambitions. So when I talk about building an opportunity economy, it is very much with the mind of investing in the ambitions and aspirations and the incredible work ethic of the American people, and creating opportunity for people, for example, to start a small business. My mother, worked long hours, and our neighbor helped raise us. We used to call her, I still call her, our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small business owners. I learned who they are from my childhood, and she was a community leader. She hired locally, she mentored. Our small businesses are so much a part of the fabric of our communities, not to mention, really, I think, the backbone of America's economy. So my opportunity economy plan includes giving startups a $50,000 tax deduction to start their small business. It used to be $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. But investing in people's innovative ideas and giving them the ability to go for it. Opportunity economy means, look, we don't have enough housing in America. We have a housing supply shortage. And what that means, in particular for so many younger Americans, the American dream is elusive. It's just actually not attainable. So part of my plan is to work with the private sector and housing developers to give them a tax credit, to be able to partner with us as the government to build, and my goal is 3 million new homes by the end of my first term. In addition, to help people who just want to get their foot in the door, literally. And so giving first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance to be able to just get in the door, and then they will do the work that they need to do to save and to pay that mortgage and to build wealth for themselves and their family.
So that extremely long-winded answer to such a simple question, what are you going to do to help the economy, to help people in America who are hurting and struggling right now? And notice, she launches into this word salad, the same one she gave at the debate. However, this time she did add a couple of specifics. First is that $50,000 tax break to new businesses, right? Not a terrible idea. However, remember, she wants to raise corporate tax rates to 28%, more than a quarter to what their profits would actually be. So you better hope your business is incredibly successful so you can afford to pay all of her brand new taxes on your business, okay? And of course, the next thing she mentions is, we want to give these government subsidies to allow people to buy new homes, to allow home builders to build more homes. We have to get 3 million more homes. Well, how about we just do this instead? Deport the 20+ million illegals who are taking the homes away from all of these prospective buyers. That would solve a lot of our housing crisis that we're facing right now. Funny how all these problems popped up right as Kamala Harris and Joe Biden opened up the borders, opened up the floodgates to unknown, unproven, unvetted individuals who possibly are quite dangerous. Of course, these are her big ideas to save the economy. Create a bunch of problems, and then, of course, try to have government fix those problems. Now, to understand why Donald Trump is doing so well, think back to that debate. He actually had a lot of really good answers and responses. And I want to play you right now his closing argument for that debate, which was actually incredibly strong.
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like, we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughing. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.